as far as moving to New York and be getting adjusted, um, I can't remember exactly how long it took me, but I remember it being, at least for me, it felt really quickly because I felt that love that I hadn't really felt before, and so I remember um, maybe being a little bit apprehensive at first. Um, and unsure of myself and unsure of the situation, but once you really stepped in and you showed me that type of love that so many people aren't blessed to have, especially with the stepfather. They're not blessed to have that. That's so I'm just thankful for you and for everything you've done. But once I felt that, I feel like it was pretty quickly when I felt at home. And
What's up, everybody? It's Eric Taylor, Big E Astrology. I am back with such a special episode, and it's going to be a series of them because I am going to be interviewing my four sons. And it's great to be able to start in order from oldest to youngest. That may not be how the rest of them go. But today on episode 305, I have the
305.
owner and founder of Through the Fire Fitness. He is a Virgo Sun, Moon, and a Gemini rising. My oldest son, Elijah Taylor. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to finally be on. Obviously, I've been watching you grow this channel, and you're following, and it's inspiring me. So I hope to just follow in your footsteps. As yeah.
Well, listen, there's been so many ways that you have followed in my footsteps. Um, so there's been many ways where you followed in my footsteps, and that takes us to childhood in terms of how we met. And you and your mother came out, you were about 8.5, and it was February of 2008.
I
And
remember
so
it well.
what do you remember about your first trip to New York City and meeting me for the first time?
Yeah, so I mean, it was yeah, I remember it well. It was a very fun experience. First thing foremost, coming from Colorado, and growing up there, I had never really experienced a big city, and obviously, like you hear about New York and you do all this stuff. So as a kid, I was like super excited just to be out there and be and get to meet you and stuff like that for the first time. And yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I had never, you know, really. I mean, it would just be me and my mom. So I really didn't know what this whole new chapter was going to entail. And I remember getting the taxi and just being awestruck by the city. And we get to the apartment, and I remember specifically like we're getting out of the taxi, and you peeking your head um, out of the cab, and you speaking. Uh, Going back, I guess I forgot to mention, how we used to speak on the phone before then, and
Well,
so
yeah,
I was
yeah.
very familiar with your voice and stuff like that, and who you were. But yeah, this is my first time obviously seeing you, so you sticking your head out and Elijah, and going all over that, and yeah, just being really excited, and just being really you know like anticipating this next chapter of my life, which has been amazing. Honestly, I could not have asked for a better person to step in and raise me, and I hope to I've lived up to the big name that you have, because you are a living legend. So
Well, no, thank you so much for that. But that's so crazy because I wondered because when you came out, that was after the Super Bowl, and just to let the audience
mhm.
know, when Alana and I started talking and dating, I decided, she didn't even ask me. This was just what I did as a man. I wanted to develop a relationship with you because I knew, that when if I was marrying, your mom, that I was also gaining a son, kind of
Mhm.
just like how, grandma, I was taking care of grandma. And so what I would do is every day at work on my lunch break, I would leave a message on the answer machine so that when Elijah came home from school, you guys, he would have a message from me that was just to him, because that's something that, playing or becoming that stepfather, that was a very important role for me to kind of build a relationship with you so you didn't feel like you were just an add-on or tag along, that you and I had our own separate relationship and connection separate from me and your mother. And so that's why he had already, know my, and this is a great one. So what did you think that time when I had I had a little gathering for the NFC Championship, the Giants against the Packers, had some friends over, and then everybody was like, going to have like a Super Bowl party. And I said, no, because I spent the Super Bowl over the phone teaching and introducing the game of football to Elijah. So what was that experience like for you, from your perspective?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember just watching the Super Bowl with you, and like for some reason, I really remember like the everybody running out onto the field and you like explaining, the game to me and how everything worked, and the player intros. And this was my first time really into sports. My mom, she's not really into sports, so really the only thing I had really known about was karate and lacrosse. Funny enough, those are the only two sports I had really known. So like this was my first introduction into into football, and I just fell in love with it. Like I was just like amazed and just watching them play, and you were explaining just the intricacies of the game, and it changed me. I mean, obviously, like now, all my friends know me as the sports guy. I mean, like I'm like an encyclopedia of knowledge, and that would have never happened if it wasn't for you. That was something that I don't know what my life would have been like if you hadn't done that for me, because and introduced me to that, because that is a huge part of who I am. Like I love sports. I love playing sports. I love talking about sports, and that love of sports is what got me into the gym and working out,
Yeah,
and pushing me onto where I'm at right now. So it's like you talk about like the butterfly effect.
yeah.
Um, who
That's
knows
awesome.
what I
So
would be
you
doing
say
right
that
now.
that love kind of led to Through the Fire Fitness,
Exactly.
and wanting you to really start to work out and to develop, a whole system and program in terms of building up your body and your muscles and stuff like that. So let me ask you a question. So um, when you moved to Texas and
Hmm.
then you started to go to college, right? Because Elijah moved to Texas and was living with his grandfather, right? My
Hmm.
father-in-law. Did you start to go to gyms there in the senior year in high school and then for college, or was it more so? Did it start regularly, sort of like your freshman or like more the sophomore year of college? When did you really say, you know what, I love working out, but now this is going to become a real major part of my life to get like this strength and develop my body the way that I want it to be?
Yeah. So well, yeah, I started. The first time I stepped foot in the gym was in high school. For trying out for sports teams, and track, and football, basketball, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
after, I guess it was after I graduated, and I no longer had access to those like the gyms or like the coaches and stuff like that, and I wanted to continue to improve. I wanted to get better. Like even if I wasn't playing sports anymore, I wanted to be in control of my body. I wanted to have like an athletic body. I wanted to um, you know yeah, I wanted to build myself up into something that I was proud of. And so I got that gym membership that summer, right after graduating high school, and that's when I really started hitting the gym pretty hard. And actually, it's funny. I I had a lot to learn, and I had through some trial and error. There was a little scary experience. I'm sure you remember, is when I was like when I first got into it. I was so like headstrong on no pain, no gain. So I'd be working out like an animal, and I actually ended up overtraining. and I, got this condition called rhabdomyolysis, and I ended up being in the hospital for almost a month. Like it was several weeks I was in the hospital for, and then when I left, um, I lost a lot of my progress,
Yeah.
and that was the first time I really thought about it. Like, wow, there's more to it than just lifting as heavy as you can for as long as you can. There really is a science and really kind of like an art to it, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what we're doing, we're sculpting our bodies. You're building, you know, what and I'm a Christian based fitness
Yeah.
influencer, and so Corinthians, First Corinthians, not chapter 6, 19 and 20 is talking about building your body as a temple of the Holy Spirit, and that's exactly what we are.
Mm.
We're building a temple, in the same way you would see like these incredible structures from like the Renaissance period and all these intricate details. You have the opportunity to do that with yourself every single day, and that's when I really learned that aspect, is when I lost everything and I was really trying to build myself back into the like a strong, healthy person, and just gain what I had missed from high school. So that's when I really fell in love with the science of everything.
Well, see, and I love that because that takes um, humility and introspection, and it was a time of growth. I mean, I still remember that night, it scared your mother and I half to death, and we were like, "No, go to the ER now."
Hmm.
And thank God that you did, and that was really important for us because, as parents, we felt a little helpless not being able to be there, take you to the hospital, but or just even to be able to sort of see you through that experience, and that's like really challenging. And maybe one day in the future you'll experience that, when you are a parent, like there's never a moment where you're not like mom and dad, and it doesn't matter like how old you'll get or whatever. So
Hmm.
this is fascinating. So that literally explains um, sort of through the fire fitness in a sense. It's definitely kind of like a double entendre because I know it's definitely in terms of like, Christian based, but at the same time, you literally went through the fire because you were seriously sick and ill that you had to be hospitalized and stay there for a few weeks. And
Hmm.
so in your mind when you were picking the name of your fitness business, and I want you to share with the audience what you do and how you got your certificate and all that, but was that part of the reason why you wanted to choose that name?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's about going through the struggle and the adversity. I had been working out, and I had done pretty well for myself in school, but then afterwards, through this experience, I lost like 50% of my muscle mass, and I was especially in my legs, and I was like um at this point where I was really starting over, and that can be very discouraging. And the Through the Fire Fitness is it's letting you know that going on the journey for your ultimate goal, there is going to be some challenges. There's going to be some struggles. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be linear. It's not always going to be something where it's like you can just snap your fingers and get there. You're going to have to go through the fire. You're going to have to go through some pain. You're going to have to go through some suffering, but good suffering. I mean, I'm not saying just to hurt yourself. I mean, like I did. I'm not saying just go crazy,
Right, right.
but there's going to be some refinement process before you get to your ultimate goals. And that's what I was
So
that's what I was thinking about, is like um yeah, that's how I've went through certain things, and that changed me and made me want to go down this journey. And so
right.
now I want to be able to help people do that themselves.
So share with the audience because you don't just teach people how to lift weights and like give them an exercise program. You also studied and share what you got your certificate in, and then how you even help people with meal plans or eating healthy or different things like that because you know mom and dad have been on a real health kick, and we've been doing the
Hmm.
master cleanse and intermittent fasting, and I haven't even shared with you. I got down to like record weights. I've lost so much weight. I'm skinnier than I was when your mom and I got married. So like it's really been kind of incredible, just doing that and having this dedication of doing the master cleanse, every month, once a month for all of 2025. And just your mom and I didn't do it for weight. We just did it for health and gut health and even, getting the mucus. And I always laugh. I always tell the story. And I don't know if you remember this, right? Dad got really sick with valley fever in 2013. And I don't know if you remember when I
How could I forget?
started doing the leeches.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that first time? Like you didn't want to go to bed that night because I was literally laying on the bed and just secreting out. And this is what the leeches do. You secrete out blood and like pus for about 20 hours. So Elijah at the time,
I thought you were
it was
dying.
like right, I think right around or before your 16th birthday. But I remember that night, like you were like, "Are you okay, Dad?" Like you were kind of hesitant of going to bed, right?
Yeah, no, I'd never seen anything like that before. So I mean, yeah, just you have like all these leeches over you, and you're bleeding from different places all over, and I was just like I know that he says this is okay, but like this doesn't look okay. This like I don't know. I mean, this is something that's completely foreign to me, and none of
And I
my
had
friends
huge
know this about this
diapers
either.
under my foot. Those like or
Oh
with those
yeah.
pads that I got from the place because they did my ankle and then they did the back of my head and my neck. And remember, like blood was just like kind of
Mm-hmm.
dropping out like everywhere. It was.
Oh yeah. Now it's all
I'm
coming back.
sure
Yeah,
for a teenager that was like a little concerning, right?
yeah. That was definitely something that I was not prepared for, and something I had to adjust on the fly and be like, okay, he's not bleeding to death. This is something that he's good. He's clearing out toxins and all that stuff. So.
So one thing that I want to share with the audience, like, so for me, it was very important in terms of, I remember in New York, we signed you up for football, and I used to take you to football games and practice, and then you did the summer league basketball with the New York Knicks, and then we used to go to a lot of college basketball games at the Madison Square Garden. So, that for me was so special and rewarding because for me, that was like kind of completing the cycle of missing the connection with my father, who was murdered when I was 6. And then I had literally a Virgo stepfather who was not so nice. He was pretty nice to me, but not to my mom and my sister. And so then it was almost like a full circle moment. And what's wild, and this is, you guys, how I love to teach, because the 11th house in astrology, I have Virgo and my sun is there. And the 11th house can show where you have stepchildren. And then the 4th house is your home and the emotional mind. And so I literally have a Virgo stepson because Elijah is a Virgo sun moon and a Gemini rising and Mercury in Virgo as well. So he's, both my oldest boys are mercurial guys, right? The Mercury men. But then your 4th house, right? You have the sun and moon, but you didn't really get to spend that much time because your bio dad and mom got divorced pretty young. Couple things. Do you remember anything about Oakland growing up? And then when you sort of moved to New York, it was kind of like that sun sign got activated because then you literally moved into a home with a Virgo father. So like it was written in the chart. So like that's kind of like you can't make that up. Like that's really wild and deep. But do you remember Oakland and some of that time, or do you just remember Colorado on? And then how quickly did you feel at home once you moved to New York with me and mom and your grandma, my mom?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Oakland, I mean, I have a few little memories here and there. Like I remember, being carried up to our apartment out there, and I remember this little stuffed teddy bear I used to have that I used to always, gnaw on its nose and stuff like that. But I don't really have any real concrete,
Yeah.
solid memories. I mean, I was really young when we left there, so yeah, it was mostly Colorado on. But then
Wait, your mic, yeah, you keep going in and out.
oh, yeah,
There you go, right there. Yeah.
we good?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, so yeah, I don't really have too many memories of Oakland. Just a few hazy things. We're just mostly from Colorado forward. But as far as moving to New York and be getting adjusted, um, I can't remember exactly how long it took me, but I remember it being, at least for me, it felt really quickly because I felt that love that I hadn't really felt before, and so I remember um, maybe being a little bit apprehensive at first, um, and unsure of myself and unsure of the situation, but once you really stepped in and you showed me that type of love that so many people aren't blessed to have, especially with the stepfather. They're not blessed to have that. That's so I'm just thankful for you and for everything you've done. But once I felt that, I feel like it was pretty quickly when I felt at home
And
and
then you and Grandma got
yep.
along like real quick right away. I know at
Oh
some point,
yeah.
there's some
When
point
when
I
she
know she
wasn't when she
would.
wasn't trying to when she wasn't trying to attack me, when she
Yeah,
wasn't
she was
trying
a
to
little scary at
to
first
to wring
because,
my neck out like Bart Simpson, and
well,
we
okay,
we
so let
loved
me
we
tell
got
the
together.
audience because that is so funny because so when Elijah moved to New York, he started third grade, and we
Mhm.
were in New York for third, fourth, and fifth grade. But my mother, already was starting the dementia from her brain cancer, but she taught fifth grade. And so when Elijah would come out of the bathroom sometimes, she would point at him. He was getting ready to do his homework after school, and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" She was still kind of verbal then. She'd be like, "What are you doing?" And Elijah would be like, he'd be like, uh, going to do my homework, Grandma? But it was just so funny. But you guys immediately
But yeah,
would
we
just
definitely
watch
bonded.
movie after
Oh yeah, no, I'd
movie.
love to go in her room and watch movies with her.
And also in the living room, she loved watching movies with you. And I think it was really, in some ways, hard for her. She got less verbal. And then when you moved to Texas, but she would love she I knew she got the concept of FaceTime, but it would
Mhm.
trip her out because she would look at the phone and see you, but she was like kind of wondering like, why is he in the phone but not here?
Yeah.
If I was trying to read her mind. And I thought that was really fascinating because she was very connected to you. So I think that was even,
Mhm.
it was a very hard transition for your, second brother, William,
Mhm.
because he was older, when you left. The boys were only about to turn 3. But,
Mhm.
William, was so, we'll get to that in a bit, but he was so connected to you. So let me ask you this. Did you, when you finished, because, I know you went through a lot with the pandemic in
Mhm.
terms of finishing up school and getting your associates in mathematics. And then
Mhm.
Grandpa got his cancer, came back, and then we lost him. And you
Mhm.
were at that point where you were going to go back to finish your degree. And so how were you managing all of that mentally and emotionally in terms of the pandemic, school, and then losing your grandfather?
That was that was a tough period, and that was took a lot of faith, took a lot of prayer, and took a lot of getting through it. We actually so yeah we lost grandpa right before the pandemic. We lost it when he passed November 2019,
Yeah,
and yeah,
right
then the
before,
pandemic
yeah.
was 2020, and it was definitely a tough time. Because I lost him. Then the world kind of shuts down, and while the world is shutting down, that's when I moved into my first apartment,
Yeah.
and it was like really kind of embarking on my own journey into adulthood. Um, so yeah, that was definitely a time where faith is tested, because you're going through the personal, you're going through the like the global aspects of everything, and you're just trying to just make your way as a man, and that's um,
Well, and you did a
something
great
that.
job because before you were working at Kroger's, but then what? Tell the audience you got a bartending, or no, you were waiting job at a
Mhm.
Mexican restaurant. Where were you at again?
I worked at Red River Cantina. I worked. I on and off. I went there for a few years. I left, and then I came back. So I was a little bit later, and then I've worked at Whiskey Cake, which was like uh, kind of like just like an American, kind of, fusion kind of restaurant. That was really nice. And yeah, then I went back to Red River. Now I'm currently working at a steakhouse. You know what I mean? So it's um, so yeah, but especially during that time, I was, working so many hours, and that was honestly a huge thing. Kept my mind off of like a lot of the different things. Is just having something to do. Having something to like to put my time into. And honestly, that's kind of what it also helped motivate my gym, my workout progress, is because
Right.
with everything going on, it can be easy to have like your mind being very hectic. And when you're in the gym, you're just focused on one thing, and that is mind muscle connection, and growing those muscles, and growing and bigger and getting stronger, and getting more lean and doing that. So like that's was a perfect place to just don't tune everything out and just lock in. And so like so between that and going to
Wait, the
work and
audio
going
keeps going in and out there. Make sure you're
yeah.
okay right there. You got to keep it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
There you
sorry
go.
about that.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's really fascinating. So then, and this is what I love as a father, you pretty quickly became pretty self-sufficient. There'd be times where, mom and I would, send you some money, but, besides getting you the first car and, and then were taking care of it, you have done really well in terms of standing on your own and being independent. And, you know, that was the intention that mom and I had because, and you'd have to say from your perspective, but like I would tell people that with all four of you boys, we're not super strict, we're fair, but we do want to teach you to be self-sufficient and disciplined
Mm-hmm.
and have you leave the house learning how to cook, clean, do your own laundry. You had your chores. And what's so funny now, scientific studies have and research has come out that children who do chores growing up wind up being more successful. So,
Mm-hmm.
did you feel like when you moved into your own place and you left grandpa's house, you kind of had all the tools, right? That you knew how to take care of yourself in your apartment, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of funny when you're out on your own, like a lot of the things that you didn't really care about before. And I mean, we're just getting, monotonous things that, mom and dad were talking about. Or like, you're like, oh, okay, I guess that is a good thing. Like, just like things like loading a dishwasher, keeping my room clean, and, just different things like that. Like how to cook different meals. Like that was a big one. Is I was like recalling different meals my mom cooked, and like different things that when I was in your house I never really appreciated. Um, and I don't think any kid really does, honestly, until they're out on
No,
their
no,
own,
until
they
you live
see
on your own.
the
Yeah, it's
application.
yeah,
And yeah, so they see that. So, but it's also been a blessing, is because like now I see, even though sometimes being like with the strict parenting, you didn't at the time, it didn't, you didn't like it, you didn't understand it. Now you see yourself where you're at versus your peers, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have learned a lot,
yeah,
and I'm a lot more self-sufficient. I'm a lot more able to handle things than other people my age that maybe
yeah.
weren't
Well, speak
um,
on that. I think that's very
on that
important
discipline.
because we see it even with your 15-year-old brother, where a lot of his friends, their parents do everything for them. And I tell
Mm-hmm.
him, I said, that is crippling them. That's not a gift from parents. That's not good parenting. And it's not to judge anyone else, but it's like, how are you going to know how to do something if you don't learn it yourself? So that when you're out on your own, and so you're saying that even with your counterparts, when you were like 19, 20, 21, 22, you were seeing that a lot of your peers, they didn't have some of the skills that you had. Is that correct?
Oh, of course. I mean, you just notice things, but like certain people don't know how to, for instance, do the laundry,
Mm,
and that was something that like it had been instilled in me. I've been doing laundry at the house since I was in elementary school.
yeah.
And so I was just thinking to myself, like, is it possible that you don't know how to do that? Like, how do you, like, it's just so simple. Like, it's just so, like, to me, what had been instilled in me and it had become so basic, you start to realize, like, wow, there's other people that have not had that experience and, like, don't
Right.
understand, these basic things, or that are basic to me. But
Right. No, but that's so deep. And that's such a great perspective because it actually shows you the difference in parenting and then shows you really the bigger concept that discipline is love. Right.
mm-hmm,
And it's that old adage, that's biblical, right? I don't want to give you fish. You'd rather teach a man how to fish for himself so
uh-huh,
that he could sustain and feed himself, and that's important. And just like, I remember even, going to the different churches out here and the Baptist church back in New York
mm-hmm,
and having, that ability to go to the scriptures and to go to the Bible, and that's really important. But I want you to share with the audience how do you work with people, and give everybody the website and or your email for through the fire fitness, and the types of programs or structures and how you work with people, because I'm sure you deal with different clients in different age groups and everything, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, right now we're working on getting our fitness programs onto the website.
Okay.
The website's throughthefirefitness.com. I'm working diligently. That should be up hopefully the next couple of weeks. My workout programs and all that stuff should be up there, and then I'll be going from there. But just in my day to day, as a trainer, I have you basically just start with the basics. Talking about, like, seeing what like, the same way that I know things from, the discipline from my parents that, other people didn't know. Everybody knows different things and everybody starts at different places.
Right.
So you don't just assume that, you know, everybody knows what even a bench press is. You don't assume they know what, like, squats are,
Right.
and
Plus
especially not
you're
how to do them
teaching them
properly.
the proper way
hmm
to
So,
lift weights and do it, because sometimes people will just curl so fast, and that's wrong, right?
hmm
That's
yeah,
great.
like they're not going to be focusing on, like, their bicep and their muscle contractions, and the first thing you do is obviously just, consultation. You just want to see the baseline fitness and what your fitness knowledge is. And once I get determine that, then I can move forward. I can place you in either, beginner, like, I'm gonna build you up from the ground up, or, if you've experienced certain things, you know what you're doing more or less. I can come alongside you from an intermediate perspective and just help you with, little tips and tricks and stuff like that I've learned to just maximize your efforts. And I've done some work with, some people from my gym, and also in my old job, I had a couple clients that I would, made some workout plans for and some meal plans, and they've been following that and having
All
some
right,
encouraging
you're too
results.
close
So,
on the mic, I think. It's
hello. Yep.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so
No. That's bad again.
that again.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, I don't know if it's the part of the house I'm in. I mean, I'm just in the living room.
No, that's good. It sounds like it was muffled, like the audio was being blocked.
Okay. Yeah. No.
That's perfect, just like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, you start with, where you're at, where the fundamentals are, and then you just build yourself up from there. You have, like, different tier systems of, like, okay, this is phase one. Phase one, this is the beginner phase. That's how you build the foundation of the house. That's how you build your temple. Phase two, then you start, increasing, weights and reps, and that's where you're really focusing on, your eating habits, and, getting proper sleep, and doing this stuff and adding on to what you learned from the phase one. And then you get into phase three and beyond, where it becomes really easy when I'm giving you now sets and reps, and I'm allowing you to do that. And you can do that on your own time, or you can do it with me, and however you want to do it. And I can be there step by step, but allows you to flourish and allows you to continue to grow and continue to build that temple for yourself.
So I love that so much, and it makes me smile because it's literally in your birth chart. You guys, Elijah has Mars in Sagittarius, which makes him a very talented athlete, but that's literally like lifting the weights, but training the other half. The seventh house is in the marketplace working with the other half. And Mars is sports, but it's also exercise and lifting weights. And Sagittarius, right, the centaur, half man, half horse, that
Mm-hmm.
is a very not only athletic sign, but it's like literally teaching people like how to, work out. And plus you got the Pluto there. So it's quite literally transforming through weightlifting your clients' bodies.
Mm-hmm.
That's in your chart. That's crazy, right?
Wow.
So
That's
like I love that, and this is like the teaching that I love to do with the astrology, because you know God controls every planet. All right. Sometimes earthlings, we can get kind of like a little arrogant, like, oh, just Earth. No, no, no. God controls the sun, the moon, Jupiter, planet. I never limit the power of God. Right. And so
right.
that shows you right there with the Pluto, Mars, Sagittarius, seventh house, that it's like because Pluto's transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It's power, it's control. So you know how to show people how to use the weights to control their body and to get more strength and power. That's the Mars, Pluto, Sagittarius, seventh house. So it's just so incredible to see you do this, and then to see you kind of literally dancing through your chart. And just so you guys know, Elijah, I want you to tell them about what the certificate is in. But Elijah was in the IB program, the international was the
Yeah,
international
international bachelorette.
bachelorette, and so Elijah has always been, I would say, brilliant, but just highly intelligent. He was the avid reader, all right, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the Mercury, the Gemini rising, and now this is kind of funny because your 12th house, you have the Taurus. Are you very particular? I remember in some ways you were growing up, but are you now as a young man, are you very particular about your bed sheets and your linens? Do you like do you need things to feel a certain way, the texture and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm very particular about it. Obviously, got my, got a couple silk linens and stuff like that I got. I do have the cotton, the big blankets and stuff like that. But I make sure I am, always, putting them through the wash and doing all that stuff and
But you
making
like
sure,
you like your
it's.
your bedroom and your sleep game to be comfortable and very
Oh,
like
you
nice,
got
right?
to, I'm very particular with like, how like I'll usually put like, at least like one pillow on this side of my head and the other pillow on the other side of my head. So I'm kind of like cradled in the center of those two pillows. And then, I have one on my around my knees that I kind of like balance my legs on. And,
Yeah. Well,
definitely,
but tell people, because I sleep with something between my knees, but tell people for their own health, why is that important?
um, I just, ensuring that your body is, your blood flow is going, is going correctly, because, um, it's easy to, when you, for instance, when you like sleep on your arm wrong, or you're sitting on your leg wrong, your leg falls asleep. That is a loss of blood flow.
Yeah.
Um, it can be very easy to disrupt your system like that.
Yeah.
And not and so you want to make sure that you're sleeping in the proper position, especially if you're trying to build yourself up.
Yeah.
Um, you got to be giving yourself that proper blood flow, because that's going to allow your recovery effort. That's going to aid your recovery. It's going to allow you to be you know
Right.
get that maximum like that maximum gains from your workouts is sleeping properly. That's something that people overlook,
Yeah.
is how important sleep
That's how
is.
we restore, right? We restore the body, our sleeping. And I tell people, you don't get any special medals when people are like, oh, I only need 4, 6 hours, 5 hours sleep. No, no, no. Science and doctors show, right, that we really do need that 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep, because it's when we kind of gain our strength. We literally restore our bodies and heal our bodies on a cellular level while we're sleeping at night, right?
Something that I learned recently, talking about the 7 8 hours is we and it mirrors God and the creation story, because you know your brain, and shout out to Revelations of Jesus Christ on YouTube. This is the video I found this on.
Okay.
But your brain literally, like, it shrinks as you're sleeping, and it kind of squeezes out toxins, and then those toxins go through your lymphatic system, and they flush out through your kidneys and stuff like that. So
And
you're
each
like
organ
literally
goes
takes
through a
out.
different hour. Yeah.
Yeah, and it and so you're talking about the blood flow. It's important to sleep in those proper positions, but also the amount of time is that process of your brain shrinking and excreting all these toxins and excreting all this the what you've accumulated throughout the day. It always happens in the seventh hour. The same way that God worked for 6 days. On the seventh day He rested. Your body is excreting toxins for the 6 hours, and on that seventh hour is when it finally cleanses itself
Like flushes it out.
and
Yeah.
flushes it out. That's when it finally flushes it out. So it's like, even if you feel um even if you can like fake feeling rested, like after 2-3 hours of sleep, your body has not gone through that full reset and that full cleansing process. And that's why oftentimes you'll wake up a little foggy. You'll wake up and you'll be like not really ready for the day.
Yeah.
You talk about like sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
things like that, because it's like going through a car wash, but then like getting out of your car halfway through it. You know what I mean? Like you're not clean. Your toxins haven't been excreted yet,
I
and
love
so
it. That's a great
that just brings it
analogy.
back to the faith.
And I love it's not only a great analogy, but I love how you tied it in biblically, because, that's something that, Jesus, I like to call him by his real name, Yeshua, but
Sure.
that's exactly what, Jesus spoke about in terms of just the body and restoring and health. And actually, science has showed that really the best time to sleep is between 10 and 6 a.m., 10 p.m. So we
Hmm.
shouldn't be staying up, when people are like, oh, I did an all-nighter or burning the candle. That's actually not good for you, because those times between 12 and 2 and 2 and 4, that is when each organ is going through its cleansing process that you just spoke about. I think
Hmm.
they call the witching hour, like when sort of like God's angels are not watching over us, is somewhere between, I think, 3 and 4 or 3 and 5 a.m. And
Hmm.
sometimes they say when you wake up between those times, it's usually a message that you're supposed to be getting from God or your guardian angels or whoever, but like, that's like, I think that's, if I remember correctly, that's like the liver time.
Hmm.
And the liver is like one of the most important organs in our body. And so that's kind of like deep when you think about like how everything, God makes no mistakes, right? And everything is
Yeah.
perfectly aligned. So now, but tell them, what did you get your certificate in? And then how do you work with clients in terms of helping them with like nutrition, right? Because I know for me, I don't, I never like to tell people, people get pretty defensive about their food and what they should eat. But I do like to tell them, and I see it in the astrology with the birth chart, but I want to know with you nutrition wise, you know, trying to help people streamline the best diet for themselves. How do you work with your clients with that?
So as far as building up the nutrition plan, basically, um, well, the thing you got to understand is that a lot of the foods and stuff like that we eat today are just they're poison.
It's not real
When
food.
I've and it's funny, like when you travel, abroad. I've only been to Mexico, but like even when you go, there, they'll have like the real warning labels on food. That's something that like really struck me, like the warning labels on food and like the images on cigarettes and stuff like that. They will show you like that this stuff is not good, and they
Wow.
will tell you it like in
So you're
explicit
saying we
detail,
don't
like
even
you
have
can't
that
miss
in
it.
America, but they got that in Mexico.
Yeah, but you can't miss it. Like it is right there. They're like, okay, this is very high sugar, and certain things they don't even have. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's so when you come back here, and we're one of the like the most developed nations in the world, and we don't do that for ourselves. It shows you that there's a disconnect between what is healthy for us and what is good for us and what we are being sold. And so, a big part of what I do is just I'll sit down and develop a meal plan. And I talk about you want to eat lean grass fed beefs, or you want to eat uh, wild caught fish, or you want to eat organic organic vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. You want to eat stuff that is as close to being directly from nature as possible,
Yep. Real food. Yeah.
because and again, but it all comes back to the biblical. God made everything for us in the Garden of Eden. He everything that we need is from can be found in the earth.
That's
You
right.
know, um, the medical industry is, umpteen billions of dollars or trillions of dollars, perhaps, is such a huge industry, and is convinced the masses that, you can take a pill, or you can, get this surgery, or you can do this and you'll feel better. But everything that we needed was already here years before that. Like, don't let people fool you. Like, um, our lifespans have not changed that much from, ancient times. Like, if anything, they've gotten a little shorter,
Oh
because
yeah,
we're poisoning
definitely.
ourselves.
Yeah, all the
It's not the other
toxins,
way
the
around. Yeah.
fluoride, all of it. Yeah, you're right.
hmm Um, and so once you realize that, we've that these medical industries and these things di- have lied to us, essentially. You start to realize, like, okay, what do I need to eat? So I break it down real simply. I'll typically give you like a week meal plan of, breakfast, lunch, dinner, some snacks in there, and give you the best that I know how to give. And I'll give you some juices and smoothies for, cleaning your gut health. You talk about your juice cleanse. Uh, might not be as, in depth as, some of the cleanses you've been on, but, just things like, eating like ginger and, papaya and stuff like that, that
Oh yeah.
helps, cleanse your gut, and your microbiome. Even, like, having some chlorophyll is
Oh,
huge
every day. Yeah, it's so
for,
important.
just like removing toxins from your
And the
system. And
heavy
so
metals.
that's,
Yeah, the
and the
chlorophyll.
heavy
Yeah.
metals, and removing all the heavy metals from your system. And so so that's what I provide. And, and as you're working out, as you're building this body, one, it's not just about, the looks. I mean, everybody wants to look good, but who cares if you look like a runway model if your engine in there is like a used, beat up, pickup truck, you know what I mean, or something like
Exactly.
that.
Because
So
if
I'm
you've
trying
got a
to.
fast metabolism, you could look really skinny, but you could be putting garbage in your fuel tank. And so you're
Hmm.
right about that. Like that's so important. So wait, I want to have a little bit of fun. Um, I am the Yankees, Knicks, Steelers, North Carolina Tar Heel fan, college basketball and college football, Bama, Michigan. Now,
Okay.
Elijah was really smart in joining his father with becoming a Yankee fan. But I want
Yeah.
you to share your other teams, and then I want to share our Super Bowl experience that you went through as a young boy, and what I shared with you and taught you that night. So, who are your other teams for the other sports? So, baseball is the Yankees. Tell
Hmm.
us the other sports.
So yeah, basically, I chose all my teams just, picking my favorite athlete. Especially, coming into my life, that was the first time I'd really been introduced to so many sports. So I kind of just chose like a athlete or a game that I saw. It was like, okay, I like this person, and so I stuck with them. So it's a little chaotic, but yeah. So the Yankees are in baseball. I'm a Lakers fan in basketball because of Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. He
Yeah,
was
the
probably my
man.
biggest influence. Sports wise.
Yeah, and he's our Virgo brother. Yeah,
And then football, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan, which happened before we moved out to Arizona.
yeah,
Larry Fitzgerald, I looked up to him. Like, he could catch anything and everything, and like has more tackles and drops, and just an amazing player. And I got to meet him in person. That was a great experience.
yeah.
Solidified me for life as a Cardinal fan, for better or for worse.
We went. I took you to the not only to the football game, but we went to the training camp
Mm-hmm.
in Flagstaff, and that was awesome. Like
Oh yeah, I remember
you had
talking to
you
Patrick Peterson, and
your face
yeah.
was I'll still never forget. And Elijah and I, oh my God, so many amazing sports memories. We went, it was my first time ever as a grown adult, and I was explaining to him how special it was for him. We went to the All-Star game in
Mm-hmm.
2011 for
2011, yes.
baseball, when Jeter had just got his 3,000
Yeah,
was
he
it
just gotten 3,000 hits. Unfortunately,
hit?
he wasn't there at the game, but
Yeah,
he was
but
just got it, like, I think the week before, or like the week
yeah,
of, or something
yeah.
like that.
And we were at the Fan Fest, and then we
Yeah,
went to the All-Star game, and
because he
that
got it
was
the day we were at the Fan Fest, right? And
yeah, he
then
got it the day we were
he
at the
got it
Fan
that
Fest,
day,
yep.
yeah. And
And then
he
we
hit the
went
home
to that
run.
All-Star game, yeah.
Yep, I remember
And
that. And
then, of
then,
course, you had to go against me with the arch rival, tell him who you like college basketball.
Oh, I'm a Duke guy. I'm a big time Duke. Especially that 2009 team was like that big one. John Shire, who's now the coach of Duke, Nolan Smith. What was that center's name? Like Brian Zubek or something like that.
Yeah,
I'd have to go double
Zubac,
check
yeah,
it.
Zubac,
Kyle
yeah.
Singler.
Uh,
Um, was Chris Duhon on that team? No, I think that might have been after.
yeah.
He might have
But
been on that team.
either way, he went to my arch rival. I'm a North
Yeah.
Carolina Tyler fan, and he picked Duke. And then
So
college football rounded out. Who's your squad?
Florida Gators. It was Tim Tebow. That Tebow mania. I got swept up in that,
Oh, I
and
remember.
hmm
So, and that's so great. And to me, like, honestly, it just brought me so much joy because you were able to, feel the not just the fun, but the passion. And one thing that
hmm
I think for young men and for young girls, sports is so good because it can keep you in health and great shape. But also with all this technology, when kids are just playing video games and they're not exercising and playing sports, one, they can lack discipline, but it's poor for their health, their eyes. When you're outside playing, you are getting the vitamin D, the natural sunlight, but you're learning that competitive spirit. You're learning teamwork. And then you're also learning from other adults that are not mom and dad. And I think that's really
hmm
important, having coaches and stuff, right? And I remember when you ran track and you did well with that
Exactly.
and like
Yeah.
that,
I mean,
so
I honestly feel for seeing these kids who are just their interactions with people, their social interactions are all online or through like video games or through a game chat because I just think about those years, those like elementary, middle school years, going to high school and like my biggest memories, my most fond memories are going out and experiencing the world and being outside in nature. I remember like we used to go on those excursions for school and we'd be gone for a week, and I know you guys would get a break from me, and so you enjoyed it, but then also like being
but you
out,
went to Four
we go into the
Corners, and
camp,
then
we go
where'd you
out to
go in
nature, and
California?
we'd be by a river, and going through all these, seeing all these experiences, and yeah, it just
But
I
tell
couldn't
them what was the
imagine. I mean,
island that we
what
sent
happened?
you? The island
So
you went to in California,
Catalina Island,
Catalina. Yeah, yeah,
and I couldn't imagine what my social skills would be like, and like how like my brain development would be if I had spent my entire life on a computer screen, and
yeah,
so it's tough seeing these younger kids that are just everything is about like Twitch and video games and this stuff
yeah.
like obviously I played video games, you'd have to get me off of the video games after being on there all day, but I still had that balance. I mean, I like to think I had that balance of
No, you
I
definitely did, and this is why your younger brothers are now enjoying and loving playing football, and
mm-hmm.
it's really fascinating. So, Larry Fitzgerald, Kurt Warner, we actually wound up going to the same church with Kurt Warner,
Oh yeah.
and so that was really awesome. But so the Steelers are playing the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl. Elijah was
It's funny
nine.
the amount of times I had to tell this story, but
Elijah was nine, and
yeah.
the Steelers and the Cardinals were going back and forth. And then Larry Fitzgerald scored the go-ahead touchdown. And then what did I
Mm-hmm.
tell you?
You told me deep water faith. I remember running up the stairs because you were watching it up in your mom your guys' room, and I was watching down the living room, down the steps of the brownstone. I remember running up the stairs, and I was so excited and so happy because I was like, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. There's only like a minute or two left, and we just scored. We just took the lead, and it's all the momentum's on our side. And you were just like, deep water faith. You really
No,
just
no,
kind of
no.
brushed
Okay,
me
but see,
off.
okay, I'm gonna tell you. I told you, I said we are going to go down the field.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big Ben is going to throw a touchdown, and we're going to win. And I told you, and I said, you are going to get upset and cry. I'm going to scream and yell. And it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the fact that I'm a lifelong Steeler fan. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
scream and yell. You're going to be upset, but you're still going to have to go to school tomorrow. And I said, and we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
And that's
Exactly
unfortunately
what.
that's exactly what happened. And I remember being real upset and crying and being angry, and you screaming and being, "Yep, that's what you get. You deep water fake baby, all that, and then go to bed. You don't get to see the ceremony. You're going to bed right now."
And it was so funny because I knew it was going to happen, and I wanted to prepare you and explain it to you. But as a dad, I felt every teardrop and felt the pain, and I felt so terrible. But I was at the same time so happy because I had gone through. We had just won a few years before that against the Seahawks. So it was
Mm-hmm.
Ben's second one. But I went through a bad loss with Neil O'Donnell, Steelers and Cowboys, and I almost broke my hand. It was the last time I ever did that with sports. I punched the wall, and I was just
Oh,
like, oh my God, why did I do that? But I was so angry when we lost to the Cowboys because of that great team, and we had actually stopped their great offense. It was Neil O'Donnell who threw 2 touchdowns and gave it away, the game. But, for you, I was like, and I told you, and I said, listen, part of fandom is staying loyal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I said, you want to be if you're going to be a Cardinals fan, you stay with them. And then when they do finally win, and I told you, I said, it's not a great organization. I said, but when they do finally win, you will feel it as if like you were a part of the team because you went through the tough times and you went through the fire, right? It all
Yeah.
comes back to through the
Yeah. No,
fire
we're
fitness. And
we're
and now you're still waiting for the Super Bowl, right?
yeah, we're still in the fire, but I know it's coming. We got a good offense. Kyler, Marvin Harrison. If they can get clicking, Trey McBride's already one of the best tight ends in the league. We got James Conner, who's sneakily one of the best running backs in the league. It's we just need to work and focus on our D line, and but we'll be straight. If Myles Garrett, please, I don't know if the chance that Myles Garrett sees us, please. I mean, hey,
Listen, I'll
we'll,
definitely tweet it out to him. But
we'll,
so
we'll
okay, so now before we wrap up, I just want to
mm-hmm,
get a little heavy and serious.
mm-hmm,
2021.
mm-hmm, yeah.
Um, COVID came through once. It was kind of fine. Grandma had to go to
Mm-hmm.
hospital for a little bit, but she was okay. And this is before they said it was really here, but it was already here.
Yeah.
And then that was 2020. But then 2021, the Delta came through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wanting to get your perspective. August 27th, Grandma went into the hospital. I went in August 29th. So, you're far away. You're in Texas. We were doing Christmas over the phone, just that year before.
Mm-hmm.
We were so upset that you couldn't come home, but it was just, a lot going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what was going through your mind, and what did you think? One, when Grandma and I first went in, but then when you found out from Mom on September 6th, I guess you probably found out that morning, the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty late at night, September 6th, when I fell into coma. And then obviously when Grandma passed away on September 21st, what was going
Mm-hmm.
through your mind, your heart, and your soul?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it was difficult because I wasn't there, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just hearing this from Mom's updates and stuff like that. But I remember, the whole world, shutting down all this stuff, and so you're here, so you're already kind of have that base level of uh, of like fear and a little bit of nervousness, and so I remember you going to the hospital, and um, at first we were like, okay, you're gonna be fine. It's just like precautionary and all this stuff, and so I was like, okay, I was at ease with that. But then when things rapidly declined and stuff like that, and then they did put you in the coma. You know, I'm not gonna say I was bracing
No,
for
no, they didn't
anything.
put me in. I fell in.
Yeah, we fell in that coma. Yeah, I wasn't saying I was bracing anything, but like your mind definitely starts to race and be like, what happens if this doesn't go our way? What does life look like if God forbid we lose you, and God forbid unfortunately we did lose Grandma, but this and like the whole world's going through this and stuff like that. So it's like people kind of understand what you're going through, but at the same time it's like I'm just hearing this over the phone. I couldn't be there. I couldn't, the same way, you talked about earlier when I was in the hospital for, my rhabdo, you guys not able to be there and see me through it. I feel the same way at that point. And, things go through my head like, okay, like, do I stay here? Like, do I go home? I mean, do I go home and,
Well, did it start to
change things?
become like as each day passed? I mean, because 40 days is a long time. Like, so was
It
there,
was a marathon. It was,
what I was going to say, was there a point like day 25 or day 30, or like at some point was there like, wait a minute, is dad going to wake up?
yeah, I mean, you definitely have that moment, and especially like after, I want to say, a week of you being in a coma, where you really have to, you face those dark thoughts in your head. You're like, what if he doesn't wake up? What if I'm thousands of miles away and my family's going through all this stuff, and what if this doesn't? Yeah, what if this doesn't go well? I mean, and it's, just, that was definitely, again, a time of consistent prayer.
Yeah.
You know, reaching out to, the people out here, my friends and family out here, telling them to pray. Obviously, the same, mom and dad or mom was doing the same thing. Now, we had gone through, similar similar kind of things. um I remember, just like seeing you with like the tubes and doing all that, and, just really breaking down, because I was just thinking about, back how when my little brothers were going through that same thing, 10 years ago with the
Jackson and William. Yeah, that was
with the
hard.
pneumonia, and seeing that again, but, seeing you in that position, and just, yeah, it was a time where where your faith is tested, and, that's when you're really going through it, and you're going through the fire, and, it's like, it's easy to, to say all this stuff and be woo woo spiritual, and I love God and stuff like that, when everything is going well in your life. But in those moments, you really just have to give. That's when you really put, your money where your mouth is. You pedal to the metal. You gotta dive in. You gotta, fully embrace, your faith.
Wait, it's hard. Your
Like,
mic, your mic.
oh, sorry. I think a train's going by. That.
Okay, now it's better.
Yeah. And so you really got to embrace that. And those are the times where you know, really find out who you are spiritually and as a person. And, again, thank God that everything went well. And
But
thank God that,
were you, because I asked this to mom, was there a moment where you were like, okay, well, let's say dad wakes up, but what if he's not dad? Or what if he doesn't
oh,
remember us?
yeah. I mean, that was the second thing. I mean, because, so we go through all this time, you're 40 days, you're in a coma, and then you come back. But then we are relieved that you're back, but at the same time, then, mom's, show me the photos of you hooked up to these machines, and you're like, yeah, you do definitely think, like, what if he can never be the same again? And, you know I heard about you, the people that were in the room with you, that, they permanently lost their lung function, or at least, part of it, at least. And, you hear about, these different things, and you're like, what if that happens to us, and what if, like, like he's dead, doesn't come back the same, and then so it's like you're still not out of it. Like, you're relieved that you're awake and you're responsive, but then, there's still so much going through it. I know you were going through with the rehab and everything like that, and, it's definitely something that, like, it was hard, being away. I wanted to be there as much as possible. I mean, I couldn't, because, at that point now I'm, you know bills and things, and
Yeah.
things keeping me out where I am. But I wanted nothing more than to just, be over there and, give you a hug, and, just you know be there in that time. And again, and just a whole lot of prayer, and I'm just thankful that, everything turned out the way that it did, because, it just
Well,
shows you what faith can do,
Well,
that you
faith
came
is
back.
everything, and the amount of people and the prayer teams for me was just colossal, and I
Hmm.
always stay in gratitude. I mean, even people from this channel, it took
Hmm.
me just to like the holidays this year to reply, because that's what I did. I replied to every single comment. I
Wow.
had so many comments of people
Hmm.
praying for me that it took me, like 3 years to get through it all. Cause then I get comments every day, but like to go back, and I went back all the way to 2021 and thanked each
Hmm.
person, because it was really humbling and overwhelming. And I just stay in gratitude, and I thank my audience, because that love was real. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I thank all my friends and, all my friends from high school who really, set up stuff. So mom didn't have to cook one meal. You know what I mean? Between, Tal and Chris, they hooked up stuff and everybody
Oh
was
yeah,
sending those Uber Eats. And I mean, it was incredible. And I just,
it was incredible. It really
I'll
was. Just
never,
hearing about
but
this.
I was trying to explain that to you and William and the boys, that it's a testament to how I've lived my life, because I've
Mm-hmm.
always given love to people and I've always been a man of integrity and stuff. And so when I was down and out, everyone showed up because they could only have, because I've never done another human wrong intentionally in my life. They only had good memories and good thoughts and positive things to say about me. Now, I know some people counted me out and,
Mm-hmm.
listen, I get it. 40 days is a long time.
It's a long time, but
But
hey,
but
nothing's
I tell
impossible.
people that deep water faith, it just
That
wasn't
deep
for my
water faith.
feelings. It's been my mantra for my entire life. So okay. I want you to give your social media and the website information again, and
Mm-hmm.
then just tell people how they can reach you is the best thing on the website or email, and just share that. So I want people to follow you and subscribe, and what social medias you have. Share all that.
Okay, so yeah, it's Through the Fire. That is a THRU, Through the Fire Fitness. That is going to be my Instagram, my YouTube, and my website's going to be throughthefirefitness.com. Um, right now, the best way to reach me is through my Instagram. I'm working on linking my all my social medias through my website and getting my programs out there. That should be out there pretty soon.
Okay.
And once we get that, then I'm more than happy to take on however many clients I can. But so Through the Fire Fitness, search me on Instagram. YouTube is the YouTube is in the works as well. We're editing videos and we're doing all that, and it'll be up.
Do you have an email that people can just, if they have questions about, like wanting to start, curious and want to ask you questions about stuff and see if it's a
Yeah,
good
so
fit?
it's gonna be Elijah Taylor at throughthefirefitness.com.
Okay. So, and last, I just want to share like a very powerful thing for me, because they both are connected. I still remember the first time you had come upstairs and you had asked me, this is in New York. You may have
Mm-hmm.
been like, it was after the second wedding, and you said to me, would it be okay for you to call me dad?
Mm-hmm.
And I just lit up and I was like, oh, yes, I would love that. It would be more than okay. And you had a big smile. You had those big eyes, and I was just like, and it was such a magical moment. But then tell them what year, because you went on your own and you legally changed your name to Elijah Taylor. When did you do that?
I changed
And
that 2019. I changed that when I was out right after I graduated from high school.
yeah,
I Yeah, I changed my name legally into Elijah Taylor in May of 2019. Yeah, so
wow, yeah, that was one of the happiest days of my life. Like that
hmm
was that
yeah,
that touched my heart and it meant a lot to me. So I always thank you for that. And I always tell people I really never really, only for semantics sometimes to explain to people, but I just tell people I have four sons. I don't even, think of it as a stepson, you know what I mean? Because to me, that's not the love and the relationship that we had. It was just, you were my
yeah.
oldest
No, I
son,
mean,
you know?
I don't tell anybody that you're my stepdad. I mean, you're my dad. If I no, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's it. I only have one dad. He's sitting here right here in this live with me, and I could not have asked for a better situation or been a better person to call dad. So
Yeah.
I thank you, and
Well,
yeah,
I thank you too, because that was, for me, it was kind of wild, because it was like giving me an opportunity to really kind of reenact and create a role that you know someone else did not do properly for me when my
hmm
mom got remarried, after my father was murdered. So that was kind of like one of those full circle moments in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very much a magical spiritual ride for me. And I guess the last thing I want to share, you know, on May 25th, 2009, besides your mother and I, you were the first person to hold your baby brother,
Mm-hmm.
William. And, you know, the look on your face, and it was almost like your baby. You know, it was like
Yeah, we
your
need to
gift,
find
your
that picture.
present, because you had been, a single child for so long. What was that like, that moment when you came to the hospital and held your brother for the first time? What were you feeling inside?
Just nothing but
Wait,
joy
wait,
and
wait, wait, stop.
excitement.
Your
Oh,
audio. There you go.
hello.
Yep.
Okay.
Now you.
Yeah. So yeah, that moment, I was just nothing but joy and excitement. You know, I had been looking forward to having a brother for like so long, and that was the moment, and picking him up and holding him in that time, like he was so little that like I like as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to hurt him or anything like that, but yeah, just being able to look into him and just being like, you're my brother, I want to protect you forever, I want to, you are, just so special. And William, I know you're gonna watch this. I love you, buddy. And yeah, there's nothing like your first brother, and
Yeah.
being able to just look at him in his eyes and just see the innocence and just it was just this a magical moment. It was
I remember
so
you were
so much
always
joy.
like the videos. We would like, his first this, his first that, and you would always
Mhm.
do like the little intro for the videos and stuff. Remember?
Mhm.
And you loved doing it. You were so good at it, but it was so cute because you were so a part of it. And you'd be like, "Dad, look, William's doing this," and you know what I mean. And it was just so it was so magical for me. But I loved it because I got to see him through your eyes. And I
Mhm.
thought that was so powerful. So I never really asked you this. What was it like when you found out that we were having twins? And initially, did you want a sister? And then what was it like when your twin brothers came out?
Um. Yeah. I mean, when the twins came, I mean, it was definitely a shock. I mean, you obviously hear about twins and stuff like that, but like, you're like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna have two more additions to the family, like just all of a sudden like that, like what, like what's going on there?
It was a
Um,
shock to me too.
yeah, because I remember, yeah, I remember like thinking that we were gonna have a sister, and I was like, that was something that I was up for the challenge of that too. I was like, what, ready for the sister. I'm ready for being the big brother that has to be up there fighting away other other guys, and eventually in the future and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, no, it's like two more boys, and I remember almost feeling bad for mom because I was like, oh my gosh, so many men in the house. It's gonna be very very outnumbered. So
Especially since she's not even into sports and all the noise of the boys. It was like a
yeah,
lot.
I still know she's going through
Wait, the mic, yeah.
it.
Mic.
So
There we go.
yeah,
So it
that
was
was
like, what'd you say it was what?
yeah, it was definitely an adjustment. It was a unique experience. Unique.
Yeah. Well, they are very different from you and William. You and William are
Hmm.
very similar energies, and that those Leos, they came in. They were supposed to be Virgos, September 16th. They were
And that was
due.
another thing, that now that you mention that, it's like, seeing how different they each were and how, like, Jackson's always been like the more outgoing, social, like rambunctious one versus Mateus. He's a very, kind and nurturing spirit. That was very interesting to see that yin and yang, you know what I mean, from them. That
Yeah.
was something that was also in, like, now that you mentioned that, it's like, yeah, that was cool seeing that develop.
Well, yeah, and remember, you and I would feed them at night, and they would go to sleep in our arms watching college football.
College
And remember,
football, yeah.
Jackson never wanted to sleep. Mateus would fall asleep, and Jackson would be
Hmm.
watching the games with us.
Jackson's he's been the sports guy just like me, and
Yeah.
Mateus, yeah, I mean, he's definitely into sports too, but he's always been the
No,
more
no,
like
yeah, big
artistic.
Chief fan. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Jackson was happy with the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
So this has been so much fun and just like a full circle moment for me. am so honored for Black History Month, because I think Black families and Black fathers, it's so important. And to be able to share with the audience, my 4 sons, and my wife will be on later this month too. It's really, it's a wonderful thing, because I also hear from the audience, they love it too. You know what I mean? They love to see me and mom together. They love to see when the boys are here. And even a couple times when you've been in town and you popped into a live, like, it's really powerful how other people respond. And I think that that's the credit, to, almost 17 years of marriage this year coming up, to the family that we've created, all through starting from a click of a button on Match.com, on the internet, and look at all that has come from it. And so I'm just honored and very proud to have you as my son, and to see how you are now in Houston flourishing. Even though I want you back in Arizona, I'm very proud in how you're flourishing in Houston. And I know Through the Fire Fitness is going to soar and be successful. So I encourage all you guys out there, reach out to Elijah. He's yoked and diesel, but his heart is his biggest muscle. And I want you guys to reach out to him, because he's got that service like his father and his mother, but that real Virgo service to humanity, to really help people. And, part of that was also instilled because he was very great at taking care of his grandmother when she, got into the wheelchair in 2013, and would help her out. And, and that meant a lot to me as well. So this was so much fun. Any closing messages for the collective and the audience, and encouragement? These are wild, crazy times. But what do you want to share with the people?
I mean, as you said, it's wild, crazy time. It's, very easy to, get discouraged. But, just remember, first off, again, as a man of faith, God's always in control. You can always get it. You're going to go through tough times. You're going to go through the fire, but there's always going to be that light at the end of the tunnel, and you're always going to come out good on the other end. And, again, thank you for having me. And, it's been a blessing.
Well, yeah, and definitely, right? Faith over fear.
Faith over fear, yeah. I have a t-shirt, Faith Over Fear. Wasn't wearing it here, but, I wear it most Sundays, too. So,
but you got to fix your mic. Yeah, it keeps going out. There you go.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Yep. See, and then, but tell them, too, though, in terms of what was your certificate in terms of when you did the training? Share that with them, too.
So, my certificate is in, certified personal training, certified nutrition specialist, and corrective exercise specialist. So I can, show you exactly how to work the muscle properly and avoid injuries. Obviously the training, and then, get that diet right, because we got to get on point in all aspects. So.
I love it. I am so proud of you, and keep doing the great work. And through the Fire Fitness, you guys reach out to my son. He's got you. Right.
All right.
Again, this was an honor and a pleasure, and it's very humbling for me, and I just love it. So keep shining. Hopefully Duke doesn't do too well in the tournament in North Carolina.
Oh, we're going all the way. Stop it. Stop it.
The Cardinals
Cooper
may win.
Flag is the truth.
The Cardinals may win in 2030.
Yeah. Actually, I bet with my friend that we're gonna at least make it to the Super Bowl by 2028. So that's the goal.
But as your father, that is my biggest hope. I really want the Cardinals to win the Super Bowl, because I want you to experience that, because I know how happy you'll be, and it'd be great if our Yankees won this year too. So that'd be awesome. So again, you guys, thanks for watching of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast with the amazing Elijah Taylor, Through the Fire Fitness. Check them out. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.